The disconnection is likely related to the emergence of a three-dimensional atlas, and perhaps after these interviews, some awareness of the situation truly arose. On October 4th, 2025, the world awaited one of the most anticipated updates in modern astronomy. A three-dimensional atlas, a mysterious interstellar object that had captured scientists' attention for months, was set to pass close to Mars. All major space agencies focused their instruments on it. Mars orbiters were ready. The Perseverance rover was recording data, and the world awaited a stream of new information. However, at that very moment, when the object came into view, NASA's servers crashed. The official website blinked and vanished, leaving only the phrase "under maintenance." At first, people thought it was a server glitch caused by millions of users trying to access the site simultaneously. But then the European Space Agency also shut down. After a few hours, China's space data portal stopped updating. Three competing agencies fell silent at the same moment. Days passed, and there was still no news. Then the questions began. Why did NASA, ESA, and China, three competing agencies, fall silent at the same time? What could justify this? But even stranger was China's silence. For many years, China sought to outpace NASA in the transparency of its discoveries. They always published raw data first, reported results first, and took pride in their successes. This time, silence. This silence could have remained just another conspiracy theory if not for one image that leaked out. It was an unprocessed photograph from the right navigation camera of the Perseverance rover. It was not transmitted through official NASA servers, but was uploaded to a backup communication channel before the system shut down. The image had a timestamp, October 4th, 2013, in Martian time. It depicted the night horizon of Mars and something hovering above it. It was not a glowing ice sphere, not a comet's tail, not dust or irregular edges, but simply a structure, pure, sharply defined, and disturbingly artificial. Over the next few days, independent observatories confirmed that the image reflects sunlight as polished metal does. The object had a cylindrical shape about 46 kilometers long and approximately 12 kilometers in diameter, with perfect symmetry. A natural object of this size would typically have uneven surfaces, cracks, and depressions. But this one was smooth from one end to the other. At first, experts attributed it to motion blur, a harmless illusion caused by the long exposure of the navcam. But this theory collapsed almost instantly. The optics of the navcam are well documented. The shutter speed is precisely calibrated. Even with overlapping exposure, a moving object would leave a narrowing trajectory, brighter at the beginning and fading towards the end. However, this image had no fading. Its glow was completely even from edge to edge. There was neither blurring, nor gradient, nor distortion. It was not a blur of light. It was a solid, real, physical object, and its symmetry was precise, almost unnatural, so perfect that nature does not create this. For decades, astronomers knew exactly how comets should look. Dirty snowballs of ice and rock, pockmarked with craters and scars, leaving long trails of dust as they approached the sun. However, the three-eyed one never fit this description. Even as he approached Mars, he behaved in a way that did not fit any model. His brightness did not fluctuate. His rotation was virtually absent. Its trajectory was completely straight, and its speed, almost 67 kilometers per second, placed it on a retrograde orbit moving against the normal direction of the planets. Then this image appeared, and a close-up from Perseverance revealed something that erased all expectations. It was a blurred green image, resembling any known substance that had been observed by Hubble and JWST for several months. It was then that astrophysicist Avi Loeb from Harvard University got involved. He recalculated the data using the relative distance to Mars and confirmed that the reflectivity of the surface was astonishing. It was higher than any previously measured asteroids or comets, and he pointed out something else. The thermal radiation of the three-eyed creature did not change under sunlight. Simply put, it did not heat up. Unlike known comets that heat up when approaching a star, emitting gas and forming a tail, the three-eyed did not do this. His temperature remained constant, as if he regulated his own heat. There were only two possibilities, and neither was reassuring. The first was that the surface of the three-eyed one was made of a completely unknown material, so hyper-reflective that it could reflect almost all incoming solar radiation, behaving almost like a perfect mirror for solar energy. The second was much more alarming. The object was not passive at all, but possessed an internal system that actively regulated its temperature. In other words, it controlled heat. But any explanation went beyond the laws of physics. This became a pressing problem based on its structure and consistency. It was assumed that the three-eyed being had traveled through a cell of space for tens of millions, possibly even hundreds of millions of years. At such speed, it was unthinkable. Nothing that moves so fast survives for so long. Space is not empty. It is filled with radiation, magnetic storms, and clouds of microscopic debris moving at lethal speeds. Even a grain of sand hitting a spacecraft at 80 kilometers per second can instantly vaporize it. Every asteroid, every fragment, every known object in the universe bears scars from this constant bombardment. Worn surfaces, cracks, erosion from dust, impact craters. But the three-eyed one shows none of these signs. Not a single mark. It is smooth, seamless, untouched by time, as if what it is made of was created not only to survive in the universe, but also to ignore it. When scientists began to explore its shape again, questions arose. Why a cylinder? Why not a sphere, like most natural bodies? Avi Loeb's response, as it turned out, is frighteningly logical. In physics and engineering, the cylindrical shape is the most efficient design that nature and technology can offer. It evenly distributes tension, resists external pressure, and maintains internal stability under immense force. The cylinder can rotate, creating artificial gravity, balancing its own rotation, and withstanding collisions that would tear apart any ordinary structure. But its true advantage lies in its mechanical and electromagnetic properties. In electromagnetism, a hollow cylinder functions as a resonating cavity, a chamber capable of capturing, amplifying, and transmitting electromagnetic waves with almost zero losses. Geometry itself can become an antenna capable of sending and receiving signals over significant distances. This means that the shape of a three-dimensional atlas can be not only aerodynamic, but also communicative. He pointed out that the cylinder is not just a random shape, but represents a statement about design. In structural mechanics, the cylinder is the strongest and most efficient geometry known to science. Its symmetry evenly distributes stress, allowing it to withstand corrosion, gravitational loads, and even high-speed impacts without breaking. Using spheres or irregular bodies, a rotating cylinder can stabilize itself, generate artificial gravity, and maintain internal pressure with minimal deformation. But the real discovery concerned its electromagnetic behavior. In radio physics, a hollow cylinder acts as a resonant cavity, a natural amplifier for electromagnetic waves. It can capture, modulate, and process radiation with remarkable efficiency, functioning as an antenna and transmitter. Geometry is perfectly suited for maintaining signal coherence over vast distances, especially at certain cosmic frequencies like 42 gigahertz. A universal constant in deep space research. This would not be surprising for Avi Loeb. If the three-dimensional atlas was technological, its form would allow it to send and receive information across light years, relying not on brute force, but on resonance itself. Essentially, the object could speak the language of the universe using only physics. This would also explain his eerie stability. Cylindrical structures can naturally align with magnetic fields, using the surrounding plasma filling interstellar space as a kind of medium for propulsion. By interacting with magnetic and electric fields, he could finally adjust his orientation or trajectory without fuel waste. Such a system would render traditional engines obsolete. The experimental device could move endlessly, controlled by the very environment it traversed. What this implied was even more disturbing. The three-dimensional atlas was not just whole, it was active. The consistency of its thermoregulation suggested that its internal systems were still functioning. Some researchers suggest that it may consist of a self-organizing molecular lattice, a material that could literally restore itself upon impact. Some suggested that it was protected by an electromagnetic plasma shell, a kind of energy skin that vaporizes particles before they can strike. Any of these mechanisms would allow it to survive millions of years in interstellar space without destruction, something that no natural body could reach. Then an anomaly occurred that changed everything. When the Martian orbital probe conducted radar scanning, the reflected signal returned with barely noticeable fluctuations at a frequency of exactly 1.42 gigahertz. This is a hydrogen line, and this frequency is not random background noise. It is the primary emission of the most abundant element in the universe. This is also a frequency that scientists believe has long served as a universal calling card, the very point in the spectrum that every intelligent civilization could recognize. This leaves only two possibilities. Either the 300th atlas is made of material with electromagnetic properties unknown to science, or it functions as a transceiver, a machine created in the void, using and transmitting information through a hydrogen frequency that connects the cosmos as one. And perhaps that is why the agency keeps silent. Not because it hides evidence, but because it does not know what to do with it. How to inform the planet when you realize that something has been watching you, something that crosses galaxies longer than your species has existed. How to explain a machine capable of surviving in the universe? So what do you think they really saw on Mars? Was it just a comet or something much more mysterious? And why are all space agencies silent? Share your thoughts in the comments.